On this week's episode, it's an ensemble guest list. I'm joined by previous guest Suresh Nampuri, who along with Georgia Beckman are directing the upcoming play No Exit. I'm also joined by some of the cast, Catarina, Isabel, and Yeliz. And our guests have got different backgrounds, different stories, and all have different reasons why they love Portugal. But mostly, we discuss why in Portugal there is just no drama. For those of you listening, head over to our YouTube channel to watch some of this episode. And for those of you watching, click down below and subscribe. And for the full podcast episode, head over to Google, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now over to my conversation with Suresh, Georgia, Catarina, Isabel, and Yeliz. Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. A year on from our last, it's actually almost a year, Suresh, since we spoke the first time. You were episode 10 of the podcast. Welcome back. How are you?
Fabulous. In the last leg of the production for No Exit. So, as I was saying, it feels like you're about to deliver the baby. You're just waiting for the contractions to begin.
All right. So, not fully dilated. Contractions haven't started yet.
No, but this is the fun part.
This is the fun part, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is where time slows down and every second feels like an error.
Well, so we're having a very special episode. I don't think I've ever strung together this many interviews into one episode, so it's exciting. But tell us a bit about the play, Suresh. What is it about?
So No Exit was a play originally written by Jean-Paul Sartre, a French philosopher, who was trying to, in the aftermath of World War II, he was trying to understand a lot of French guilt, to be very frank, because France was divided. This is not Jean-Paul Sartre. This is, I don't do existentialism very well. I live in Portugal. Look at the sun and the sand. I mean, let's face it. You cannot write this play here at this point. I asked myself, why was this play fascinating to me in the first place? Because it is fascinating at the end of the day, the quest for meaning. And then I asked myself, given the fact that I work in two languages in two fields, a language of mathematics and science, and the language of emotive truth and emotional resonances in theater. And so I decided I would actually address this. So now there are three characters. So they all find themselves, they're all dead, and they've all got various things to think about in their lives. And this is the afterlife. This is the afterlife. It may or may not be hell, I have no idea, but it's the afterlife, and they're in this room and without an exit, and they're trying to make sense of it. What is the point of this? Is there intention? Why are we three here? Three perfect strangers. There must be meaning to this thing. And they're all trying to figure out the story. But what if there is no story at all? Just stars exist because there are no constellations. That's the statement. So we wrote the play. The play is an original piece. It's loosely inspired by Jean-Paul Sartre's original scenario.
Suresh, but let's talk a little bit about Portugal briefly as well. A year on from the last time we spoke. Still loving it?
Oh, completely, ever more. I mean, love is one of those relationships where you either go in or you go out. This is in, completely. And I'm basically on my path to nationalization. As in, I'm
wonderful.
Citizenship, yes.
So we'll compare citizens' cards one of these days.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I've already done my first Portuguese play, so there you go.
Exactly. That counts for something. Suresh, I know you love a good open-ended question, to decipher and interpret. So I'm just going to say to you, what does this mean to you? No drama in Portugal.
Drama is an acceptance of the fact that there needs to be a crisis. There needs to be a tide in the affairs of men and women, which needs to basically provoke change. Portugal does something beautiful. It doesn't provoke a crisis. It says, you want your own crisis? Fine, we'll help you write it. But we're not going to give you one. We are going to allow you to stay in a state of pleasant, curious limbo for as long as you need till you find what kind of crisis you want to get into. Portugal is one of those few countries on the planet, I think, which says you live in your own time. You don't live by our times. There is no universal time. And that's why I think there is no drama. It doesn't say you need to be part of the story with a beginning and an end. And this is where you come from. You come from the land of Camões. You have to buy into the story. No, you figure out which act you want to create, you figure out which line you want to enter into, we'll improvise the play for you. That's
Beautiful. I love that.
I'm an actress, and I'm 29 years old. I'm Turkish.
Okay.
And I studied back in Turkey, and I studied sociology, then theater, acting. I was in conservatory. Then I moved to Portugal. Then I acted in CTB for 1.5 years. Then I turned back to Lisbon because it was after COVID. I gave a little break. Then I came Lisbon like 7 months ago. And now I'm acting with Jaw Theater. And I think that's all. So I'm happy to act in that part.
Wonderful. Yeliz, I mean, you mentioned that you're from Turkey, and Turkey is a little bit chaotic, and the world is a bit of a chaotic place at times. One of the things that often comes up the podcast is people talk about that in Portugal there's just no drama, meaning stress and
no
chaos and conflict, and so what does that mean to you? No drama in Portugal. What does that mean to you, and how important is that to you at this stage in your life?
I think it's so helpful. As an actress, it's so helpful because theater is stressful. I mean, you're like in front of people and you're dealing with kind of creation of a character. So if your life is not stressful, it helps you to deal with that stress. So you can just like put your aims in a better way, and your mind is more clear because you don't have to think about many of those stressful things in your daily life. And it gives you more opportunity to think about the other things that you really would like to do.
So I'm Portuguese, half English on my mother's side. I'm originally from Porto, but I studied abroad, and I've recently moved back to Lisbon. This is the second attempt at living in Lisbon. It's been a bit of a mess. But so now I'm here based in Lisbon. I'm a full-time actress, and yeah, I don't know, what specific things would you like to know?
We'll get into some things. For people that are familiar with sort of the Douro region, the name Symington won't be a strange name for them. But you're the one Symington in the family that doesn't whine.
Yes, I'm probably. I wouldn't say I'm the only one, but I'm one of the few. Yes, every other one of my cousins and uncles and aunts and grandparents most of them are involved in the wine business. Yes.
And you see your own home and your own country from a different perspective. What are the things that you appreciate about Portugal since traveling so much and being overseas?
Well, family and friends, obviously. Everything is so cheap. Everything's so close and unpolluted. Like I love London, and I loved New York, but everything is so far away. LA, everything is so far away. It takes like 3 hours to get anywhere. And I find that in Portugal, you can change your scenery in a matter of 15 minutes. And I think Portugal has this sense of like the simple things in life, and everything is just, people don't live to work, and I think that, you leave your job and everything, or at the end of the day, and you want to see your friends, and you're not too tired to do that, and you want to go and see your family, and you go, and you can so easily go sit by the beach and just have a beer and catch up with friends. And that for me, and I know it seems so simple, but when I was living in LA, which is where I ended up spending most of my time abroad, I was there for 3.5 years. The beach was 45 minutes away from me on a good day. And I lived in Burbank, where all the studios are and everything. And everybody had different schedules. Everybody's in the entertainment business. And I find that people are constantly thinking about work. What's the next move? What's the next thing? And then they're too tired to go and hang out. And there's just not that, and for me, and I miss that. And I find that people in Portugal are brutally honest. And that for me is reassuring, you know? I always know what to expect from people here. And I think that's beautiful.
We'll talk about the play, but just start off by telling us a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, I am Portuguese. I was born and raised in Lisbon. I actually studied architecture and then went for a master's degree in management. And I've been working in a multinational company until last year, when I basically decided to start a new life and joined the acting course in ACT, which is an acting school. And that's where I am since last summer, more or less.
For people that don't know about Foz do Arelho, tell us about this amazing place.
Yeah, Foz do Arelho. Yeah, I love it. It's where I spend my vacations since, teenager. And it's a really lovely place near Lagoa do Beach. So it's in Lagoa, where you have this amazing circumstance, which is a beach with sea, with very dangerous sea, actually. So you have to be careful. And also a beach with a lagoon. So a lagoon setting. So here you can actually take a bath, take a dive in a bit safer circumstances. But for me, it's a very pretty natural environment that it's still protected in some areas. The nature is still very present. You can walk along the lagoon. You eat good fish. Yeah, it's good for eating as well, which is one of my passions too. And I really love it. Yeah, it's great.
What does it mean to you when you hear and you see people from all these different backgrounds really loving and engaging and integrating and enjoying your country?
I mean, I'm proud of that, because they finally discovered and recovered this country, actually, because it has been like this since forever. So now people are starting to realize this is like a gem, actually. No, I get very proud, actually, because it's good to be liked. The place where you grow, you've grown up, being enjoyed by other people. It's always a pleasure, because you get to share, like, you see, like, this is amazing. Obviously, talking about the food, the weather, the safety. Of course, there are some difficult things also, and not everything is is great. But it's great that we get to share this with people that want to come here, and it's great.
Yeah, so I am originally from the United States, from Boston. I've been in Lisbon for about 8 months on a binational grant, and have been working at John International Theater since October of 2022. Starting out kind of in a variety of roles, assisting with rehearsals and all of that, and then have gotten increasingly wrapped up in the theater, in production roles, in stage management and assistant directing for the upcoming production of No Exit.
We had a guy previous on the podcast, and one of the things that he said that he really likes about Portugal is that there's not a lot of drama. Everything seems pretty chilled out. You've come from New York, you've been in Boston. These are pretty high intense places, and America, people know what's going on there. Has that been your experience? Is this kind of chilled out way of life, no drama?
Yeah, I would say like very chilled out. Earlier in the spring, actually, I was with the theater. I was working on this week-long festival, which was like, there were tons and tons of events, a bunch of shows, a bunch of workshops, all of these things. And I was going in like, already stressed out, like something is going to go wrong. Everything is going to be, because that's just like how theater rolls. But even just like going into the theater that was like hosting the performances, like everyone was like okay, yeah, we're running a little bit behind, but like we've got this. Like it's not a big deal. We're not gonna stress. We're just gonna get it done, however long that takes. And it was like, oh, okay, like no one's like running around with their like they're with like basically no one's running around in chaos, except for I was a little bit internally like, oh, what if we don't get it done, what if we don't get it done? But everyone just kind of like trusting each other and like trusting their own capabilities, like very easygoing, which over the course of the week I think definitely mellowed me out a bit as well. So definitely I would say like no drama, lots of trust, lots of like reliance on peers, on friends. Yeah.
Because you're the last guest on this episode, I'm going to leave you with the last question that we ask all of our guests. And Portugal, the simple life. Why?
Why the simple life in Portugal?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I feel it's such like a complex question. I'm trying to really define it. I don't know. I think it's just kind of like an essence. I think it's an essence. I think it's also like a care for community and for like the people around you. And also I think, like the people who live here have such like a care and appreciation for Portugal itself. So it's like, okay, you come in and like the people who live here love it. Like they show you like the different ways that they love it and why. So you like really get a chance to learn about like the area, learn about the culture, learn about the community, even coming from elsewhere. Kind of what you were getting to, like just kind of like the welcoming attitude. Definitely, I think also just like, yeah, I think, oh gosh, it's just like, I feel like it's just like a spirit. It's like an essence that's just kind of like in everywhere. Yeah. Maybe it has to do with like all the water, all the coast, very like, go with the flow kind of attitude. Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And because normally Suresh gets to do this part, I'm going to let you call it. So go ahead.
That's a wrap.
So thank you once again to our guest, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We always love to hear from you. Don't forget, Portugal the Simple Life also has a magazine, so download it. It's for free. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, and as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to the Simple Life.